We pull out the key insights from complex topics for you. Today, we're looking at a film that really messes with your head in a good way. Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk from 2017. And especially for you, if you love the kind of mind-bending stuff we often see in science fiction, this one's fascinating. It's definitely not your typical war film.
No, not at all. People called it risky, even abstract, which I suppose is classic Nolan, right?
Yeah.
Always pushing boundaries.
Exactly. And his signature thing, manipulating time, is front and center here. So this isn't just history class. It's more like a intense debate with time itself. So the big question we want to unpack today is this. You have this well-known event, the Dunkirk evacuation in 1940, hundreds of thousands of soldiers trapped. How does Nolan turn that into something completely fresh, something that makes you rethink how time even works in movies?
Yeah, it's quite something.
So over the next few minutes, we'll get into how Nolan just sort of sidesteps the usual war movie tropes.
Right.
We'll look at that really interesting structure. He uses 3 timelines all woven together.
The land, sea, and air.
And how time itself becomes, well, the enemy, sometimes an ally, this kind of maze you're trapped in.
It's the raw material, really.
Yeah. And we'll touch on the editing, the montage, how that creates a feeling, plus this choice to focus on anonymity, on the group, not just one hero. And that whole tension between historical fact and the feeling, the experience Nolan creates. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's dive in.
Okay, so first off, how different is this from what we normally expect in a war film?
Well, hugely different. Usually, you get a main character, maybe a few key supporting ones. You learn their backstory, what they're fighting for.
You follow their personal journey through the chaos.
Exactly. And the story usually moves, point A to point B pretty linearly. Preparation, the battle, the outcome. Simple enough.
But Dunkirk just throws that out the window, doesn't it? There aren't really main characters in that traditional sense. No long speeches.
Precisely. It's deliberately anonymous. You rarely get those lingering close-ups showing deep inner thoughts. It's more like the soldiers are this single, fragile entity.
Just waiting. Caught in time.
Caught in time, yeah. Waiting for rescue or, the worst. The bold move.
Yeah.
Does it risk feeling cold? Maybe. Or does it achieve something else?
That's the question, isn't it?
I think it's definitely aiming for something else. That anonymity, it forces you to think about the collective experience. Humanity under extreme pressure. Survival itself.
Less about individual heroics, more about the shared struggle.
Right. And that ties directly into the film's core structure, which is built on those 3 distinct timelines, each operating on a different clock.
Okay, this is where it gets really intricate, that Nolan signature complexity. You've got the soldiers on land, on the mole, waiting for ships. That's over a week.
A week, yeah. Then you have the civilian boats coming across the channel. That's condensed into just one day.
One day. And then the fighter pilots trying to provide cover, and that's just an hour.
Just a single hour. So you have a week, a day, and an hour, all running concurrently.
How on earth does he make that work without just completely confusing everyone? Because honestly, it is a bit confusing at first.
Oh, it absolutely is. And that's intentional. He uses parallel montage, cutting between these timelines, but not just to show things happening at the same moment. He weaves them together so tightly that their individual timings start to overlap and blur. You might see something happen in one timeline, like a ship sinking.
Right.
And then later you see that same ship, perfectly fine, but from an earlier point in a different timeline.
Okay, yeah, that definitely happens. It messes with your perception.
Exactly. That disorientation is part of the experience. Time isn't straight here. It folds, it breaks apart, it squeezes together until everything crashes into one intense point.
So the actual historical sequence of events kind of dissolves.
It does. What's left is the feeling, pure urgency.
Yeah.
The raw experience of time running out.
So time isn't just the setting, it's the substance of the film. It feels like the thing Nolan is really obsessed with more than the history itself, maybe. We've seen it in his other films, Memento, Interstellar.
Definitely. It's his grand theme. But here, it feels incredibly distilled, almost pure. You asked earlier if it risks feeling cold. Maybe this focus on time is part of that. Is he almost weaponizing time against the characters and against us?
Weaponizing time. I like that. Is it the main antagonist?
In many ways, yes. Time is the source of the anguish. And the score? Hans Zimmer's score is crucial here.
Oh, yeah, the ticking.
That relentless ticking It's apparently from Nolan's own watch recorded. It starts subtly, but it just builds and builds.
You think what's in your skin?
Totally. It's not just background music. It is the tension. It's the film's pulse, like a constant reminder time is draining away. Every tick feels like a loss.
It's the ultimate ticking clock scenario, but baked into the very sound design.
Baked right in. And time is subjective, too. That scene, for instance, where the plane crashes. You see it from the air, fast, brutal. Then later you see it from the boat on the sea, a different perspective, different duration almost.
Right. It lands differently depending on whose time you're in.
Exactly. War isn't one story. It's all these fragmented viewpoints crashing together.
It's amazing how he orchestrates it all, those different time scales, the week, the day, the hour he manages to make them converge, right? At the end, it feels like everything is happening now.
Yes. That's the climax. He collapses it all.
Yeah.
The rescues, the dogfights, the escapes, they feel simultaneous, emotionally speaking. Even though we logically know they happen across different spans, the editing compresses it all into this one overwhelming present moment.
It's such a clever way to convey that feeling of crisis, how time gets warped when you're desperate.
And that's where the editor, Lee Smith, his work is just phenomenal. The montage isn't there to make things clear chronologically.
No, quite the opposite sometimes.
It's there to disorient you, to ramp up the tension. The cuts aren't asking what happens next. They're screaming how much time is left. It could feel exhausting, maybe even too much for some viewers.
Yeah, I can see that. It doesn't really give you a moment to breathe. You're stuck in it, just like the soldiers.
Right. Does that constant pressure pull you in deeper, or does it risk pushing you away?
For me, it pulls you in. You feel it. Every scene feels potentially final. And maybe that connects back to the anonymity we talked about. Without a single hero to latch onto, you're just immersed in the sheer pressure of the situation itself.
I think so. By not focusing on individuals, Nolan makes it more universal, perhaps. It becomes less about this specific soldier, more about human fragility, human resilience in the face of overwhelming odds.
The collective becomes the hero.
The collective is the hero. The sum of all those small actions, waiting, sailing, fighting. It moves beyond just documenting Dunkirk and speaks to something bigger about survival.
So that brings us to this interesting debate, doesn't it? Historical time versus cinematic time. The actual event took days, involved vast numbers. Nolan boils it down to sensation.
Exactly. It's not a history lesson in the traditional sense. It's about capturing the feeling time, stretching out during the wait, speeding up in combat, freezing in moments of sheer terror or relief.
He's making us experience the temporal distortion of that specific crisis.
Precisely.
So when you pull it all together, Dunkirk really isn't just a war film. It's more like a symphony of time, a cinematic laboratory, almost.
Well put.
Nolan uses time brilliantly to create this incredibly intense, visceral experience. He's not just telling you what happened. He's making you live through the urgency, the confusion, the warped sense of time they must have felt.
Absolutely. And that brings us to you, listening. We'd love to hear your take on this. We really invite you to jump into the debate.
Yeah, definitely.
What did you feel watching it? That constant ticking tension. Did it pull you right into the thick of it, or did it feel more like, I don't know, a clever trick?
That's a good one. And what about the lack of a central hero? Did that make the film feel more powerful for you, focusing on the collective, or did it maybe leave you feeling a bit detached?
Yeah. And especially for those of you who love science fiction, how did this manipulation of time, something so common in sci-fi, how did it land for you in this historical context? Did it meet your expectation? Challenge them?
We really want to know. Share your thoughts with us. Let's keep talking about cinema, about memory, and about time itself.
Because films like Dunkirk show us that movies don't just tell stories about time. They can actually make us experience it and debate it in a completely unique way.